Hey, I wanted to come back to a kind of media application of large language models, particularly looking at kind of literary analysis and how you can kind of extend some thought on anything that you're reading. Um, but today I wanted to look at James 1, which I had done previously, but I think I had mislabeled the video, so I just wanted to go back and do this. And um, also, kind of more on a personal anecdote, James 1, kind of from a perspective of the Christian faith, gives a lot of insight into, dealing with hardship and trials. And yeah, so um, personally, my 2023 year was pretty rough, and I've been reflecting on it. And uh, but really, with regard to whatever you're reading in kind of a more generalistic sense, you can kind of prompt and kind of use these large language model tools to kind of supplement kind of discussion and study. Even in a group setting, I've seen these tools kind of been used now to kind of probe thought and bounce around ideas. But let's go ahead and read through this really quick, James 1. And if you're not familiar with James 1, it's a book in the Bible and it gives kind of some context. Really, James, we could even ask what is the context of James 1 in the Bible? But if I was to give it my own sense, James is kind of a book in the Bible giving insight into the Christian faith, um, what the religion of Christianity, what that looks like walking, actually, following along with the faith. Um, but yeah, let's look into that. Right. So in general, it says it emphasizes practical Christian living and the importance of faith in action. Sweet. So I'll just read through this really quick. James 1, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations, greetings, trials and temptations. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its good work. Finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. Believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wildflower, not fire, sorry. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant, its blossom falls and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away even while they go about their business. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, the person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be conceived by my brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we may be a kind of first fruits of all he created, listening and doing. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in the mirror and, after looking at it himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Okay, so James 1 is kind of, we can see it's kind of segregated into two sections: trials and temptations, and listening and doing. So we could ask for, analyze the structure and the message of James 1 with some insights on the history, possibly. Or one thing that a lot of people like to do, especially with like more historical texts, is actually look at the insight on certain translations and words. So there are a lot of versions in the Bible where different translations happen, and you can kind of lose meaning. Kind of really in any translation that you do from one language to the other, there's an inherent meaning that can sometimes be lost. So it can be good to articulate what could be lost, and sometimes you can't even articulate it. But with that prompt, let's just look a little bit. But one thing that I noticed kind of personally is there's a lot of comparisons, like a sea, like a wildfire. Did I just say fire again? Like a wildflower. Kind of more nature oriented too, like shifting shadows. First fruits. Not really. Oh, it looks like I got an internet error. I'll try this again. Okay, now it works. And what this is really neat is I'm pretty sure this would be probably kind of an aggregation of, literary studies and commentaries from online that this, tool is trained on. But you can look at it: greetings and trials, James 1, 1 through 4. James opened the letter with a greeting and addresses the theme of facing trials. He encourages believers to consider trials as opportunities for growth. Right, so perseverance, finish its work so that you may be mature and not like lacking in anything. It's very like growth-minded mindset. And then wisdom in trials, James 1, 5 through 8. So trials and temptations, right? 5 through 8 talks about wisdom. 9 through 11 talks about, kind of richness and the fleeting nature of it. Exaltation of the humble, and then endurance in temptation, 12 through 18. Right, so kind of like trials, and also the idea of temptation and recognizing temptation kind of as a avenue for growth, you could say, or maybe even like a curator of, difficult times, but weathering the storm type, cultivating kind of a unique and positive perspective within that. And then also optimism about like good and perfect gifts being kind of like given from above. And yeah, and I guess 19 through 27 kind of gives us some more insight on, you know, listening and doing. So this is actually like a call to action. You can't just listen, but you have to act upon it and kind of instill changes in your life. Like, um, so if so, for instance, if you're kind of trying to write a persuasive essay, or as you can see, many aspects of the Bible are kind of persuasive towards the Christian faith and why maybe a Christian believes what they believe. You know, if you are persuaded in that way and you are convinced and you have conviction on something, you aren't going to live like the opposite of it. And so that's what I kind of interpret here. So doers is being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Right, you're gonna embody these values that are kind of being shown, and then warning against partiality. Um, 128. I don't really see a 28, which is actually really interesting. One, um, so let's actually ask if does James 128 exist? Looks like my Wi-Fi's gone out again. There's something weird on this kind of system that I've noticed is that the Wi-Fi will go out and then you can kind of pop it back up and it will go. Wow, so there's a errant portion here is that there was confusion in its response, but it looks like it meant to be kind of talking about maybe even removing this warning against partiality, or to actually have included this, like partially of this overlapping. Because I mean, it kind of talks about, I mean, it's not, partiality isn't really even here. Partiality meaning to treat people one way based on maybe some sort of transactional idea. Um, for what they could give you or an idea like that. But yeah, that was all I really wanted to come on here on. I wanted to come back here and just do this a little bit of justice, better justice. I feel like after a challenging year, and also I had some stuff wrong in the last one. Like I had some of the labels wrong, and I wanted to get those right. But this was kind of an illustration of how you can use. So this is what this app is, OpenAI. It's ChatGPT. You can actually see the model being used. It's ChatGPT 3.5, and um, yeah, um, these are some other random things I've been prompting recently. I actually haven't. I've been kind of taking a break from working stuff, and I've been doing a lot of hiking, which has been fun. But I'm excited to come back to this project and try to make a few videos for y'all and kind of showcase maybe some of my imagination and how it kind of commingles with some of this technology that's been coming out. But anyway, y'all have a great rest of your day, and as always, stay positive and have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.